What's going on, y'all? In this video, most people are just repeating information. Before we start, you gotta take a drink of the good stuff. Yeah, though, most people are just repeating information. Now, this is actually one of the crux, the meeting points, the nexus points of all of my content, of all of this occult information. Like, when I say that people are repeating information, it just means they heard it from another source. It's not their original ideas and thoughts. Now, originally, this shit came from books, because that's all you can really do is just repeat information. Now, the information came from a higher source, no matter what time in the world, because everybody's born a baby. You got elders, adults, parents, cousins, older brothers, everybody, your culture and your tribe. And then they telling you about some shit about life, starting with books, or starting with storytelling, or just starting with like your culture around you. Because that's the thing, a lot of people in the ancient times, they didn't have access to information. It was only the rulers of the society, the high class, the people with money that had information. Now, modern day, all of this shit is just coming from people that repeat stuff on social media or TV or a movie or a song. But most people, at the very least, this is the thing. Understanding, and I'm going to just go ahead and pull one out. This right here, what we got right here is known as the Kabbalion. I ain't pulled that out in a minute, but clearly the Hermetic principles, natural law, the 7 principles of this reality. And law 4, principle number 4, to be more intricate and more detailed, you have principles up at the top. Envision it like a triangle, a 3-layered triangle. You got principles, laws, then facts. A lot of different facts in this reality. Anything can be a fact. But the laws are all a subset of the principles. Of course, you got man-made laws. Don't run a red light. Don't park here. Don't overgo this speed limit. Don't motherfucking be a RICO head of a murder case. Man-made laws. And then you got the natural laws, subset of the principles. So you got like what? The law of relativism, the law of the mirror principle, the law of projection, the law of positive thinking. All of these things are just subset of these 7 main principles. Principle derived from the Latin word principia, and it means chief, first and foremost. So with that being said, the law of polarity simply states that everything has its polar opposite. Anything can be argued, any form of information, any thought, any perspective. So before I even read out of this book, I'm making this statement for y'all to understand that you gotta find your own thoughts. You gotta find your own beliefs. You gotta figure out what you feel about this game of life, okay? Going off of some religion, going off of some cultural person, some social media content creator with 1 million followers, 5 million, motherfucking Louis Farrakhan, whoever it may be, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and each of those individuals that I just mentioned, it's a polar end side perspective that's telling you that they are a government agent here to mislead and confuse the masses. And I tell you, like, why? Why would Farrakhan, Martin Luther King, and Gandhi potentially be a CIA agent? And why is there some credibility to that proclamation? Essentially, it's because they're telling you to lay down. They're telling you to turn the other cheek. They're telling you to just be peaceful and let somebody beat your ass and just go along with this society, rather than telling you the truth, rather than even mentioning the word occult. This book right here says Perhaps the most influential work to come out of the American occult scene in the 20th century. 20th century was the 1900s. I believe this book was released in 1908. So, the occult. What is the occult? Oh, spooky, mysticism, spiritual, conjuring, rituals, evil, darkness, right? No, the occult is just the hidden. The occult is just the hidden. It is just the hidden phenomenon, the hidden spiritual reason and happening behind what you see physically. There's always a reason, because law 6 in this book, principle number 6, cause and effect, essentially is telling you that the cause is the occult. The effect is the cult, meaning the culture, the physical, 3D observable phenomenon, rather in your life or in the life of all of us. You know, how somebody deal with you, how you deal with other people. There's an occult reason behind it. There's an occult cause. All right. Okay, so to get into the law of polarity, didn't even have any, reason or no, I didn't start this video thinking I was going to pull up this book and read out of the law of polarity, but I want to do it so you can simply understand and see that everything can always be debated. All right. Everything can be debated. Somebody's always going to have another point of view. Someone's always going to have something different to say. So essentially in this world, you either got agents like what's not particular, potential Martin Luther King, right? I'm a dial back the intellectualism just a little bit, but I'm actually feeling it. So maybe I won't. The potential of a Martin Luther King, a Gandhi, a Louis Farrakhan, a Obama. All right. You got the potential of somebody like that being a pure CIA agent, a pure agent of the Matrix, somebody that's here and they're paid to deceive you. They might not even know about the occult. They might not even know about the laws of morality, the truth of this world that we live in. But they may just be paid to go off of a certain narrative. Look up Stan Livingston. I actually do remember the name. Stan Livingston was the dude that essentially is said to have written the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King. Stan Livingston was the dude that, they said that Martin Luther King was basically just a puppet and going off of all of this dude's talking points. And the reason for it is to erode the 1776 American constitutionalized way of being. It's to erode that, and it's also to erode black people having their own culture and society and standards and way of living. Because if you look back in history, they'll tell you that black people or Native Americans, whoever it could have been, right? Whatever melanated group of people was somehow, some way. Now, I believe, and that is, it'll help for y'all to understand my belief on this subject, but I believe that, certain slave ships were brought over here to the Americas, 1700s, 1600s. The amounts of slave ships, and for them to have us all believing that any black person has your ancestry and DNA tied to Africa. I don't believe that's true. I believe that a lot of us, particularly people with my skin complexion, is Native American. In a sense, we got way more Native American, way more Wichita, way more Sukasa, Chickasaw, Indian up in our blood. And they only call it Indian because they told you that Christopher Columbus thought he landed in India. But no, meanwhile, you done landed in America. Meanwhile, there's a guy named Amerigo Vespucci who is said to have really discovered America, and that's what America is named after. But I believe that slaves, when they did have motherfuckers getting whipped and hanged from trees, and they was working on the stable and picking cotton, I believe that that was Native Americans and African slaves. Slaves that was brought from African slave ships and Native Americans that was already on this land that got conquered by the white European. And then they just started to mix, have babies. And then they started to mix and have babies with the white man and the white woman. So now we have this big clusterfuck, what they call it, a potluck. America is just a big potluck of different races and diversities and everything else, genders to this day. So, for me to tell y'all that, for me to tell y'all my belief on it all, they tell you that once slavery, quote unquote, ended, once the South had to release all their slaves, and then the North and the South was now one big United States. This is after the Civil War. Essentially, and then they tell you that they had black people that was fighting on the side of the North and black people fighting on the side of the South, because they were fighting on the side of the Confederates, aka the real hardcore slave owners, because they really just didn't know no better. Oh, but don't think that Abraham Lincoln was just some great guy. Abraham Lincoln's only real reason to free the slaves was to integrate society even more. The same way that they gave women the reason and the opportunity to vote and join the workforce. It's just being able to tax the citizens. And then you got women and men working a job. So now you can get the students, the babies, to go into the school system, and everybody's getting full spectrum indoctrinated to participate in this society and culture. Less energy and time that we have to all give to each other and build up our communities. But that's the thing. 1776, slavery ended. They'll tell you that all through the 1800s, the early 1900s, black people was thriving. Black people, melanated people, natives was thriving in certain communities. And then what happened? Figures like Martin Luther King, figures like, I don't want to say not Marcus Garvey, but Thomas Dubois. Is that his first name? Thomas Dubois? That's Thomas from the Boondocks. But W.E.B. Du Bois, he was, we about to get into it. We is about to get into it. He was a leading figure in the Black Boule. The Black Boule secret societies and secret fraternities founded in around the same time this came out, 1905. The Prince Hall Freemasons. This was the group of Black secret society Boule members that created this society, funded by money from John Rockefeller, right? The Rockefellers created a big portion of this whole society, the whole school system, along with 12 other families. I believe it's 13 families, or maybe it's 9, because I know that it's 9 Greek sororities and fraternities. And then the Greek sororities and fraternities are actually black people. Kappa Phi, Alpha Phi, Phi, Psi, Li, Gamma, Delta. That's black people. White people be having their own different Greek fraternities. But the Divine Nine, the Pan-Hellenic Council, that's the Greek sororities and fraternities of black people, started with W.E.B. Du Bois, and then in the early 1900s created that secret society to rival, not necessarily rival, but because they weren't let into the Skull and Bones secret society. George Bush and Mitt Romney, I believe, they were actually a part of the same secret society, but were going against each other in the Democratic versus Republican political fight and sometime in like 2008. Actually before that, the early 2000s, because whenever George Bush got elected for his 2 terms, he went against somebody named Mitt Romney. I might be wrong about that. It may have been Obama that went against Mitt Romney, but George Bush went against somebody, and they were both part of the same Skull and Bones Yale secret society. So here we go. We just got all of the secret societies, but you got a black secret society that done formed. And the black secret society is there to guard the Rockefellers, there to guard the Rothschilds, there to guard the Lee family, the Oppenheimer family. It's all intricately tied in. And all of this to say, you had the thriving black communities in the 17 and 1800s. And then the black societies came in and said, nah, we gonna integrate. We gonna be like the white man. We gonna use this form of communism, because that's what it is. You got so many people that say, oh, communism is bad. No fascism, no socialism. You got everybody that's either a pro-conservative, modern day, they're either a pro-conservative, right-wing, MAGA type person, or they're a Democratic, liberal, Kamala Harris type person, but they'll say no fascism, no Nazis, no MAGA. And then you got the people over here that'll be like, no communism, no socialism. They're Marxist. It's all government. It's all one and the same thing. But this is just to show you that people are falling on one end of a polarization dialectic and they're not knowing any better. Maybe you yourself, you know what I'm saying? You may not vote. I guarantee a lot of my listeners don't vote. But somewhere deep inside of you, you know you are a little bit more conservative to this society. You might fuck with Donald Trump a little bit more. You might just have a little bit more logical and rational thought as to how man plus woman should get together and what can equal a functioning society. Then you may be a more liberal person. You may be sitting back thinking that LGBTQs and blue-haired liberals and all of that has a grievance and they have a right to be upset at the inequality in this world. So with that all being said, you can see that it all stems from the law of polarity. The law of polarity. It all stems from the law of polarity. Motherfuckers being polarized. So if people don't just examine and look at this law, just acknowledge the fact that it's literally something right here and we ain't even got into it. I may dedicate this video to reading the whole chapter. So, because it's actually the shortest chapter in the whole book. I may dedicate this video to reading the whole chapter so we can make this a big old polarity video, because we already acknowledge that it's a black secret society, the 9 fraternities, the higher up that you go. This world works off of hierarchy and compartmentalization. So the very high ups in the secret society, you know what I'm saying, they know shit that the motherfucking college freshman recruit that's trying to join a fraternity ain't gonna know. He just got to get his ass beat and get his head dumped in the toilet, and then he can just slowly climb the ranks. So once he's 50, then maybe he can become an Obama. Maybe he could be so indoctrinated, so brainwashed, and so just repetitiously under the mind control, and now Obama might form. But then when it come to people like George Bush, when it come to people like Obama, and even a Donald Trump, these motherfuckers might have been altar boys. They might have been people that might have been young kids that got raped by the elites when they was young. Therefore, it just created these mental traumatic things in their mind. Ultimately, it's called the altar. You might be able to snap a finger. You may be able to say some code in a dude's ear, and then he instantly snap into a certain mode. All right? Obama, Trump, George Bush, a lot of these people may have undergone that type of mind control, that type of trauma in order to get into the positions that they in. So saying all this to say, most people, most content creators, most people that's talking on the podcast, they just repeating information. They may have an opinion, and that's their own opinion, because ultimately that's all you got in this world. Now, how hard you stand on your opinion, how hard you motherfucking just is willing to die on it, how much you just so like ready to argue about your opinion being right and being fact, that's where you got the issue. You, conscious person, you fucking with me. Because to control your emotions is to understand the law of polarity, is to understand that somebody can always debate anything that you saying or thinking. So you got to be fully okay with just living and moving like, yeah, I know it's just me. I know it's just my thoughts. I know it's just my belief. I know ain't nobody gonna validate these thoughts more than me. Somebody may align with it. Somebody may say shit that's similar. Somebody may, whatever. All right, y'all. I think I cleared that up well enough. You see it, right? Black people was thriving. Then you get Martin Luther King. You get Louis Farrakhan telling you, at the very least, pull up your pants. Stop saying nigga. Stop with all the rap music. Integrate and speak proper. Be like the white man. Get a 401k. Get a good job. Meanwhile, we was just thriving. They bombed Black Wall Street. A whole new Wall Street, a whole new motherfucking stock market that was made simply for black people. Now we just ignore that happened, and everybody trying to trade stocks. Everybody trying to get on the stock market and motherfucking invest and make millions with these corporations, while we just ignoring all of the deception, the crime, the violence. Hey, man. But that, yeah. That's why all these motherfuckers that's just mad, you want to like really examine why they so mad, why they might have a grievance or a gripe toward this society, yet they still telling you to go out and get cash. They still telling you to go out and get some motherfucking paper with a white man printed on it that was a slave owner. All right, man. All right. I'm gonna chill. But like I said, I'm gonna use this video to go over fully the law of polarity. The law of polarity has butts. Yeah, man, literally 90 page. Oh, come on, 88 through 96. Let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it. Everything is dual. Everything has its poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. If you never knew. The painting behind me, a young CT original, says the word paradox. The X, that's one X, and that's the same X, but it's like, all right, you see it, paradox. The great fourth Hermetic principle, the principle of polarity, embodies the truth that all manifested things have two sides, two aspects, two poles, two pair of opposites, all manifested things. Now, let's just determine and break down that first sentence. All manifested things. So, you know what I'm saying? My hair tie. This is a manifested thing. This is a manifested thing. All right? And then thing, just like thought, is derived from the term theo. So everything is just from the up. We think it, we bring it down from the theo, from the God. Right? Theology is the study of God, the study of spirit. So the theo, all of our thoughts, we just bring it down. The thing, them, the. It is just a example of the as above manifested in the below. Theo. All right? Boom, bam, bing. Two sides, right? Two aspect, two poles, and two pair of opposites. Can always be debated. And then just on a logical level, this is what? It's vibration, it's matter, it's something that's dense, it's right here, but it will one day dissolve and disintegrate. It'll snap, I'll throw it away, it'll go wherever waste goes to get somehow, some way recycled or burnt away or fucking dumped onto some island somewhere in this world. And that just shows the whole level of accumulative shadow on the unconscious level that we all have built up. You see those big trash dumps, motherfucking, not geese, not doves. What's the animal? What's the bird that be flying around? I hate that I can't think of it. Seagulls. Seagulls just flying around a bunch of trash. All right, here we go, y'all. With manifold degrees, the two extremes, between the two extremes. With manifold degrees between the two extremes. You got sharp over here. Imagine my fingers being like super duper sharp. And then you got something dull, like an eraser. A pencil is a great example of polarity. You got the pencil, boom, sharp, you write. And then on the other side, you have a dull rubber substance that literally can erase what you just wrote down. And that's just the degree between dull, soft, and then sharp, pointy. The manifold degrees between the two extremes, soft and hard. The old paradoxes which have ever perplexed the mind of men are explained by an understanding of this principle. Man has always recognized something akin to this principle and has endeavored to express it by such sayings, maxims, and aphorisms as the following. Everything is and isn't. Everything is and isn't. Let that sit. At the same damn time, all truths are but half-truths. Beware of the half-truth. Always beware of the half-truth. Every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything. There is a reverse side to every shield. You got a shield? You're using a shield? There's a reverse side to that shield. There's a reverse perspective. There's a reverse thing. So, you know, sprinkle a little CTRL gem right in the middle. Listen, y'all, You may be sitting back thinking, oh, it can never work. Oh, she'll never like me. Oh, he'll never do that. Bro, sis, it's the opposite side of the shield saying it can work. There's a way. So just like that, you got to get out of that negative, defeatist, doubt, scarcity, lack mindset. You got to shift into the abundance, the possibility, the good, the positive mindset. We're going to keep reading through this law of polarity. I swear to God. The Hermetic teachings are to the effect that the difference between things seemingly, it seems diametrically opposed. It seems that way. Things seemingly diametrically opposed to each other is merely a matter of degree. Merely a matter of degree. Man and woman is the most opposite thing on this planet, but it's merely a matter of degree of the most extreme pole of birth, male, a phallus, woman on this side, a vagina. These are just the two extreme poles, but really it's the same thing. Human being, life, physical 3D matter, and we really narrow it down, vibration. It teaches that the pair of opposites may be reconciled, and that thesis and antithesis are identical in nature, but different in degree. We must do it. We must break it down sentence by sentence. Thesis, what you conclude, what you understand, what you have come to agree to. There is an antithesis, meaning somebody, something to tell you that no, wrong, opposite, incorrect. The antithesis, all right? Now, when you look at the Hegelian dialectic, which I've explained to y'all a little bit before, dia meaning by way of, not two, not like dialogue, which is two people speaking. A little bit of Latin etymological confusion right there. Two people speaking is dialogue. One person speaking is monologue. And that's why you'll oftentimes not get very far listening to podcasts and multiple people speaking. You need to refer to one person giving you some information. Refer to Derek Grace, Brother Panic, Mark Passio, Young CT, Angelo CTRL, Brother Low. Nice to meet you. Okay. But yeah, that's the antithesis and thesis. So the Hegelian dialectic essentially shows you that you got for polarization to work, for things to be polarized, for advancement, for growth to come, for new ideas to sprout and be brought forth. You have a thesis on one side, and you have an antithesis. Then you get a synthesis above that. I often tell y'all that I am synthesizing the information from Brother Panic and Mark Passio. But you have an antithesis and a thesis. And essentially them two very much are the thesis and antithesis. I've studied them more than anything else in this world. I've studied everything else, and I see how one side falls on the Brother Panic perspective of all the life is fucked up, get it how you will. And then it falls on the side of Mark Passio. There's a problem in this reality. We need love, peace, and correction. I am here to offer the synthesis between these two individuals. And then from that, somebody will one day offer a synthesis for my information and somebody else's. Let's get to it, man. Evolution. We here with it. We all on this planet to evolve. The only law is constant change. So rather you reincarnate in 2080 and then 2122 and then 2243, and you just keep reincarnating throughout the whole wheel of astrology, shit will have changed. Constant evolution. All right, y'all. Thesis and antithesis are identical in nature but different in degree, and that the universal reconciliation of opposites is affected by a recognition of the principle of polarity. The universal reconciliation of opposites is affected by a recognition of this law of polarity. All right, the universal reconciliation of opposites. So to reconcile, what does that oftentimes mean? You come to a conclusion, you come to a middle point, an understanding, right? You're reconciling a beef between you and a rival group, between you and your girlfriend. Y'all reconciled y'all argument. You and your mom, you and your dad. Y'all had to reconcile y'all differences. Now let's see how that was done. A universal reconciliation of opposites. Y'all had an opposite perspective, y'all had an argument, then you somehow, some way reconcile. It is affected by the recognition of the law of polarity. So you just realize that, oh, this person is seeing it from this angle, this point of view, this pole, and I'm seeing it from this angle, this side of the pole. And therefore, we can reconcile. All right, so this leads us into a bigger understanding of why there's so many problems in the world and why everybody sees and moves and operates and does things so differently. I gotta take a drink of the good stuff. I got to. That's the good stuff. All right, y'all. Shout out this channel called Whole Math. I don't listen too much to it, but bro has a video called The Levels of Thinking. Look up the original Levels of Thinking. I think he's since created a second one, but you realize that there are 9 levels of thinking. And actually from this video is where I came across, I would say, my favorite philosopher, because the Brother Panic and Mark Passio are teachers. A philosopher is somebody that just thinks and has ideas. I'm actually a bit of both. And we haven't fully just gotten to my philosophy, but we will get there. So for me to teach and share this information is because I ultimately want to catch y'all up and then help y'all as best I can. I understand I could do way more. You probably understand you could do way more to affect a certain change or help people in your life. But it is what it is. We live and we survive on this planet. No one knows when their death date is. Stay tapped in. But Ken Wilber created the list that this channel Whole Math was going off of. Now the levels of thinking, right? You have base level, which is survival, going to the bathroom. All right, then above that, I can't even think of the category of it, but there are 9. You got level 1, and then you got level 9. So essentially everybody is just viewing problems from different levels. You're viewing life from different levels of thinking. So to get into the level of understanding that everyone has their own perception of the exact same thing, that's like a level 4, definitely level 5, but also maybe level 4, I'm not quite sure. Level 4/level 5 way of thinking, even level 6. Above that gets into different ways, and I would need to refer back to the video. I've often looked at it as a video that's something that I could just watch and review and react to. Maybe my very first reaction video. So with that being said, it's a level 4, 5, or 6 way of thinking to understand that, oh, they're just viewing it from this perspective and they're not incorrect. There's nothing bad about the fact that they're seeing it from this perspective. I just see it from this perspective, therefore it creates my view of this certain situation and it's created our conflict. But there is a reconciliation that is possible from the separate aspects. All right, y'all. We only on page 2 of the law of polarity. Stick with me. We're going to get to it. And before we continue anymore, understand this as one of the main and most important polarizations to understand and accept. Simply the fact that the occult, the spiritual realm is 50%. It's the 50% opposite of the physical realm. So we don't really know. We don't really know what we came from. We only deduce information. Gnosticism deduces life down to a point of saying, yo, it's a lot of suffering. Nature, you see a lion attack the zebra. The only difference between you and the lion is that you have the divine spark of human consciousness. Therefore, human beings can be very low on the strength dominance food chain as opposed to lion, bears, tigers, and gorillas. But you still, because of your brain and your divine spark of consciousness, your 5 human faculties of language, reason, intellect, imagination, willpower, some other ones, is the only reason that we create such complex structures and we're not just living and eating each other like the animal kingdom. So that's what Gnosticism deduces life down to. essentially saying that it's all suffering, it's all bad. But what seems to be the case is that you were trapped down here in this physical reality. You were trapped down here into this human body, and only difference between you and the rest of life is that you have a divine spark of human consciousness and awareness. That same divine spark that comes from the monad, right? The universal collective consciousness of us all. But we were trapped by a lesser god / deity known as the demiurge, aka Yao Boath, Allah, the Lord, the God that Christianity and Muslimhood say to worship. But you was just trapped by this deity, and now you're here inside of the human body as a soul having a human experience with all of this chaos, suffering, ups and downs, right? Ins and outs. And your one goal is to end the cycle of continuously coming back. Because, yes, again, that's the 50-50 polarity to know. The yin yang, right? Yin and yang can be looked at as masculine and feminine. It can be looked at as light versus dark. And at the same time, it can be looked at as spirit versus matter. There's a little bit of spirit in the matter, and there's a little bit of matter in the spirit. As above, so below. It's all duality, it's all polarity. All right? It's all duality, it's all polarity. Just had a thought, lost the thought. But let's see. Let's see where we at, y'all. Let's see where we at. Making sure that I'm on the right place. Boom. The teacher's claim, okay. We only on the page 2 of the law of polarity. Okay, I want to figure out what the fuck I was just saying before we continue. Law of polarity, spirit, manifest, Gnosticism. Oh, all right, y'all. Along with understanding the law of polarity and understanding that everyone is just repeating information, understanding that people are literally just going off of what they've heard, what they've read, what they've heard from their family, then they're telling you that this is the right way to live. This is the correct thing to do. That's the first and foremost basis of this video and a big crux of my channel. But beside that, I gotta take a drink of the good stuff because it's staring at me. Beside that, y'all, it comes down to this word, human freedom. It comes down to the concept of human freedom. Yes, not just human freedom, but freedom in general. Because there are 2 ways to achieve that freedom. And then there's one of 2 things that happen after death. All right, y'all? The one way is, of course, human freedom in itself. Modern day slavery, the laws of morality, right versus wrong action. That's the first level of human freedom that is right here for us to all understand and grasp on the physical level. But then 2, the one way to actually achieve and meet freedom is to incarnate outside of the physical body. Because inside of the physical body, it's always boundary. We're always trapped inside of it. Some people choose to off themselves, and then they think that that might lead them to the freedom. That is the only way possible, right? Because you're free from the human body. You're free from the physical place of boundary. Now, maybe we was just trapped here. Maybe this just all of our first lifetime. And we do one go round and then we get free from it. And who knows what's after that. But then on the other end, maybe you just continuously reincarnate. And then the only way to actually free yourself is to detach. It's to literally detach and then not reincarnate. So it all comes down to freedom. Rather, we talking about human freedom and basically anarchy, which will be no government, govern to rule the mental, to govern over the mental. So they literally tell people what to do through a fictitious belief in authority, an authority that some people have the claim and the right to rule over others and create man-made laws. And some people have the moral obligation to follow these people that's saying, hey, we're the authority. We were voted into power and we tell you what to do. Like, the first step is for everyone to understand that that's an illusion. Then if everyone stopped participating in their own human enslavement and captivity, then human freedom can be actually created. Until then, we don't have that. But understand that prison systems is the 100% full extreme degree of human slavery. America has liberty, other places have liberty, and then if you was living in a tribe somewhere on some uncharted island, which it probably is a lot of that going on in this world, they not on the calendars, they not on time, they just living free. Exactly. All right, y'all, let's get to it. The teachers claim that the illustrations of this principle may be had on every hand, and from an examination into the real nature of anything, they begin by showing that spirit and matter are but two poles of the same thing, the intermediate planes being merely degrees of vibration. So, of course, you got the physical plane, you got the mental plane, then you got the spiritual plane. These are just different planes of vibration. So your thoughts is actually a higher vibration, but then your thoughts are manifested down here into the physical. All right, y'all. Gems just get sprinkled all throughout. They do. So I was watching Bob Proctor, and one thing I wanted to tap into after I got home from the Derek Grace event, got to motherfucking tap in with one of my 4 role models, completed the quadrant, met all my 4. It's a beautiful thing. I ain't met Lil Wayne yet. I ain't met Kanye. I ain't met Childish Gambino. I ain't met Montana 300. When I meet them individuals, Kevin Gates, it'd be a very similar feeling. With that being said, I got home, took my nap, woke up, knew that I needed to tap into Bob Proctor. Rest in peace to Bob Proctor, but one of the 4 fathers of this manifestation and self-help genre that we go on YouTube. Now, this was a download that I came across mentally. Basically, y'all, you have to be okay with, or I think it'll benefit you to just find one manifestation guru to fuck with. Rather it's Myron Gaines, rather it's, Neuro Knowledge, rather it's Bob Proctor, rather it's Quasi Drawer. Fuck with Quasi. But Bob Proctor, when I listen to his information, the frequency just manifests. It's just in alignment with who I am as a person. Probably has a lot to do with astrology. Probably has a lot to do with just how this person was as an actual human being. We probably just get along. That's why I have my 4 role models. That's why I hold them in such high regard. That's why I tend to share them with y'all. But y'all probably got other people. And y'all probably don't even want to look up Brother Panic or Mark Passio or even Derek Grace, because you want to fuck with Young CT. And for that, I am grateful. And we going to get continuous truth realization. Feel free to screenshot the sigil, copy and paste it, put it in your notes, and use it when you need to. When I say screenshot the sigil, feel free to go to my description, take a screenshot, grab that moon, mushroom, eye of Horus, as above, so below, symbolizing the CTRL. Simple as that, y'all. To stay in control of your emotions, to resonate and align on the continuous truth realization frequency. And what I can say is that it's all about vibrating very high on a conscious level. Consciousness is just a being's ability to understand what is happening within self and what is happening on the outside world. You must do the shadow work. Nobody else can do it for you. Shadow work ain't about appearance. It ain't about the physical. It ain't about the manifestation of whatever you can look good about, whatever people can praise you about. Shadow work is about how you feel when you by yourself. The CTRL sigil is a shadow work sigil, continuous truth realization. A lot of that truth is going to be found within. Like I said, it's all about your beliefs. It's all about how you see this world. It's all about how you feel about life. All right? Continuous truth realization. With that being said, let's just continue. If when I read, I'm pretty sure I am going to figure out what the fuck I was just thinking, but just to keep the flow going, just to keep the flow with brother low. Yeah, you know what you know. If you know, you fucking know about that Kybalion, bro. I was sipping on gin. I'm about to fuck my... Stay tapped in, y'all. I love y'all. The teachers claim that the illustration, they show that the all and the many are the same. The all and the many are the same. The difference being merely a matter of degree of mental manifestation. Thus, the law and the laws are the two opposite poles of one thing. That's when they start to get aloof. That's been the one word that describes a lot of this life shit, but hard to pin down. Oh, you're trying to be mysterious. Oh, you're trying to be different. Oh, you're trying to be hard to interpretate. It's just being aloof. So the Kybalion can be a very aloof book, but you got to decode it. But then again, decoding is just another person's opinion, another person's interpretation. It's best that I can continuously realize the truth. So some things I'm not even going to attempt to decode. I'll just tell y'all they being aloof. And then I'll get right back to the real, raw perspective of this game of life. They show that the all and the many are the same, the difference being merely a matter of mental manifestation. Thus the law and the laws are two opposite poles of one thing. Likewise, principle and principles, infinite minds and finite minds. Then passing on to the physical plane, they illustrate the principle of showing that heat and cold are identical in nature, the differences being merely a matter of degrees. Heat and cold, the tundra and the Sahara. The thermometer shows many degrees of temperature, the lowest pole being called cold and the highest heat. Between these two poles are many degrees of heat or cold. Call them either and you are equally correct. Now, my OG Kybalion is right there. I'm going to pull that one out and show y'all the difference between these highlights and those highlights. And I'm going to actually tap back into a little bit of where I was mentally when I was going that hard in the Kybalion. But before we do that, let's simply understand and go over this download that I remember from this sentence. The degrees between heat and cold. So essentially, this is how at least temperature works. You have the median temperature of like warmth mixed with cool, which is like 66, okay? You got hot 90s, 100, 120, Phoenix. That's just a high vibration of heat. That's a high vibration of heat. Then you get down to 32 degrees. That's when motherfucking liquid start freezing. Liquid turn into solid. The only magical motherfucking element that does that when it gets cold is it expands. Liquid turns into solid. Rain turn into snow. 32 degrees and below. Then let's just say you go down negative degrees, Antarctica. Then you get to negative 15. That vibration is also fucking high. My chin-up bar is right here, so it's the best thing to use to illustrate a spectrum. I think I like to use spectrum versus degrees, right? A degree is horizontal, or either way, we'll just use this line as the spectrum, okay? So, boom, 32 degrees, freezing. Down here, negative 15 degrees. That shit'd be so cold, so much wind, so much snow. Then if you get up here, 110 degrees, that shit'd be so hot, so much sweat. So it's like an opposite form of high vibration. You get me? It ain't low vibration. It ain't no vibration. Like no vibration or very less vibration would probably be like 67 degrees. But then once you start to get to negative 15 degrees, that's a high vibratory form of cold air, snowy tundra, wind energy. But you see, that negative 110 and positive 110 is going to be the same extreme of degree of vibration, but you just got a cold form of it and you got a hot form of it. It's like that, y'all. Back in How to Maintain a Free Mind in a Controlled Society, I remember saying to y'all, don't just look at people with a heavy ego that's just like, oh, I'm the shit, I'm that nigga, I'm that bitch, I got a lot of money and I scratch when I itch. Don't just look at them people and think, oh, they so aggressive, they're so braggadocious, they got so much shadow energy, they're just rappers, they're just obsessed with money and cars and being the best. Don't just look at them and think they some stupid, arrogant person. Oftentimes, that extreme amount of spirit and expression is backed by an extreme amount of ego and stillness and pain and trauma, and ultimately just like a backlog to defend all of their ways. Sexy Red, understand it. Pooh Shiesty, the nigga might be smart, the nigga might be calm, the nigga might just know how to and when to morph and get into that energy. Whew. I say free everybody, because the prison system is just a derivative of this whole police and military authoritarian society. So free Pooh Shiesty, free Lil Durk. But damn, look at the polarity of sending rapists and sexual assaulters and murderers to jail. People that murder innocent children. Like, you would genuinely say, like, they have a right, they belong in prison. There's nothing wrong with having them there. But then, like, yo, police and military is all wrong and it's all violence. So that's why you gotta accept the laws of morality. That's why you gotta know the laws of morality. That's why you gotta literally lessen your cognitive dissonance and figure it all out. So, with that being said, I'm not here to say abolish all prisons. I'm not here to say free all the rapists and the murderers. But we must at least understand that to put people in full captivity is slavery. To tell people that, hey, you can't do these set of actions. Even if you ain't harming nobody, you can't do these things. We must understand that's coercion, that's man's law, and that is essentially human governmental slavery. All right, y'all. I said I was going to tap into my other Kabbalion. I am going to do that. I think we got everything out the way that we need to get out the way. Look at this motherfucker. Look at this one compared to this one. I've had this one since January 2020. Shout out Mike X Art. Put me on to it. Told me I was special. Said, I don't remember. I said, what's one book, bro? If it's one book you could give me, what's one? He said, the Kabbalion. I'm like, I'm going to look that up. He was like, you special. He was like, everybody else ain't, but you special. I'm like, thank you, man. Then I just, oh my God. Hey, beware of somebody that tell you that you special. Because that shit'll just make your ego so inflated. That shit'll have you living so much in your own head and reality. And you gotta basically just morph and bring yourself down to understanding that you're the opposite of special. You're like everyone else. But somebody who is special can see the specialness in someone else. We here with it. All right, y'all. Opening up to the law of polarity. I'm gonna share my notes with y'all. And we're going to get right back to where we just was. All right, boom, bam, bing. So this is the page I was just reading out of. Has a little bit of notes and highlights. Let's continue on the path. They begin showing that spirit and matter, the all and the all, thus law and laws. Then passing on to the physical plane, they illustrate the principle by showing that heat and cold are identical in nature, the difference being merely a matter of degrees. The thermometer shows many degrees of temperature, the lowest pole being called cold and the highest heat. Between these two poles are many degrees of heat and cold. Call them either and you are equally correct. Negative 110 is warm compared to negative 102. I'm sorry. Compared to negative 200. 110 degrees is warm compared to negative 200 degrees. You would be like, get me out of this negative 200 degrees. Get me back into that 200. You'll still be cold, but you'll be like, whoo, fuck, this is warm compared to what I was just in. So call either, and you are equally correct. The higher of the 2 degrees is always warmer, while the lower is always colder. There is no absolute standard. All is matter of degree. There is no place on a thermometer where heat ceases and cold begins. It is all a matter of higher and lower vibrations. The very terms high and low, which we are compelled to use, are but poles of the same thing. The terms are relative. Oh, y'all thought we was about to read more? We must break down and distinguish. King of distinction here. So the poles are relative. What is the antonym of relative? Subjective. For something to be what is opposite of relative? Absolute. For something to be absolute, meaning that's just one. It's just one thing. Boom. But for something to be relative, meaning it's just like comparative. Comparatively, it's different. Relative to your perspective, relative to your life, this is this. But the absolute version of it, which is actuality, like I oftentimes break down the difference to y'all between actuality versus reality. Actuality is absolute. Reality, your mind, is subjective. I'm telling you. So here we go, y'all. So with east and west, travel around the world eastward direction and you reach a point which is called west and your starting point and you return. All right. I ain't gonna do y'all like that. Let me tap in. So with east and west, travel around the world in an eastward direction and you reach a point which is called west at your starting point. And you return from the westward point. Travel far enough north and you will find yourself traveling south or vice versa. All right. So I wrote down myself right here. Round Earth programming. Simply understand that I do believe that this book is even still available to the world because it simply polarizes you into the globe Earth understanding. This book oftentimes will talk about the solar system, stars, space. Clearly, it's depicting a globe Earth. So it's saying like, if you in Kansas City, Missouri, and you travel east, right? You end up in South Carolina, end up in fucking Spain, end up in fucking Iran, Egypt, Japan, Hawaii, California, Colorado. You go in right back up in Missouri, Kansas. Now, on a flat earth model, that is incorrect. That is not the case. So a book like this does tell you about round earth, and it does go off of the mainstream accepted understanding of this place that we live on. So that's another polarization extreme that is worth us tapping into. And we're going to do this. Before we continue, same thing with the east versus or north versus south. If you in Denver, Colorado, you travel up, you're going to motherfucking reach Cheyenne, Wyoming, Canada, the North Pole. Whoo, let's see if I can do it. So I'm going to go down. Shit, probably Russia, Ukraine, Germany, Egypt again, North Africa, South Africa. Come up above, you got the Caribbeans. All right, you see what I'm going. You see where I'm going. You see what I'm doing. You see what's happening here. And you'll reach right back to Denver, Colorado. Now that's if we're on a spherical Earth. Let me find a crystal. This crystal symbolizes strength. This is a sun crystal. Shout out Andrew Tate. When I was following Andrew Tate heavily, I gave this crystal his spiritual signature because I was listening to him talk about how speed, all you need is speed. Act fast. And I'm very happy to pick this up because speed kills. You be fast, you beat everybody else in the race. But different than that, once you get an idea, once you get a thought, act on it. Speed. Free Andrew Tate. So with that being said, this is essentially a full-on sphere. And if what we live on is like this, then Elon Musk, we have nothing to fear. Jeff Bezos, Katy Perry going up into space, the Kabbalion, everybody that tells you that we're living on a globe Earth. Now, I wouldn't be as conscious as I am. I wouldn't be as tapped and tuned into the laws of morality, natural law, all of these great, really the intellectual distinction that I wield. I owe a lot to Mark Passio. I've studied his information relentlessly. He has so many videos, so many presentations. I genuinely invite and implore y'all to look him up. Mark Passio. And guess what? No ads. You may be used to watching ads on YouTube, and if you don't got YouTube Premium, but Mark Passio don't monetize his content. Real nigga. So you ain't gonna get no ads on his content. And with that being said, he tells you that flat earth is a pure psyop. Therefore, I give it some credibility. I trust his word, I trust his past experience, and I trust his mission. So, Flat Earth Dave and Eric Dubé, two of my main flat earthers, I gotta just at the very least relay to you the laws of polarity, showing that anything can be debated. There is always gonna be an opposite. But the one thing that is not debatable is the laws of morality, right versus wrong. Understanding that any action that harms another person, that's a wrong action. That's violence. That's fucked up. You just punched that girl. Why the fuck you do that? She ain't punch you first. Why you hit her? Why the cops just beat down a dude? Why the cops killed George Floyd, Michael Brown, motherfucking Tamir Rice? He didn't hurt them first, so they killed him. That's violent. That's fucked up. As opposed to me and you just walking down the street. We ain't hurting nobody. Whether we singing a song, dancing. What's the one thing? Skipping. Rather we just skipping along. You ain't hurting nobody, then you cool. You in the right. That's a right action. With that being said, I learned all of that from Mark Passio, and he tells you that flat earth is a big psyop. He said that he measured it and used the telescope and had all of these mathematic things behind it, and he knows for certain that we're living on the globe. So, with that being the case, this would be the facts. And then, other than that, any circles around? Look at this right here. If you know what this right here is. All right, so if we're looking at the flat Earth, it is this, y'all. It is simply just a flat plane. So let's just say America is right up here on this flat plane. Everything outside of here is the ice wall, aka Antarctica. On this, they tell you that the North Pole is up here, where Santa Claus lives. Then they tell you that down here is the South Pole, aka Antarctica, which coincidentally we cannot travel to. Independent travel to Antarctica, you get turned around by gunpoint. They got government institutions and people down there doing shit, and you're just not allowed as a free billionaire. If you manifest $1 billion by yourself and you got a bunch of food, it lasts you a year's supply to be able to travel to Antarctica and try to go freely explore and find the ice wall, eventually you'll get turned around at gunpoint. Some authority, some military, from the League of Nations, from the United Nations, the fucking global treaty that everybody done signed off on, every major country in the world done signed off on and said, nah, we ain't gonna allow independent exploration of Antarctica. That's not allowed. So you can't go. You'll get turned around by gunpoint. And if you try to force your way through, guess what? A bullet awaits. And at the same time, the Rockefellers own the one island. So let's say you go to Chile, right? Let's just say this is the flat earth and you go to Chile. Chile is down here in South America. Chile is down here in South America. So if you go to Chile, then you say, oh, I want to take the boat to go to Antarctica and be a tourist. You land on Deception Island. I need some chapstick. I need some chapstick. Oh my fucking God. I need some more of the good stuff. You land on Deception Island in Antarctica, owned by the Rothschilds. Deception Island is literally what it's called. You don't even need to look up Deception Island on your phone. Go to your Google Maps, zoom down into Antarctica, first find Chile, and then find the quickest access point to cross the sea and get to Antarctica. It'll be a place called Deception Island. To deceive means to lie to someone, to intentionally give misinformation. So that's the place where tourists go to explore Antarctica. They go on a little tiny, small little part of Antarctica called Deception Island. All right? But then a lot of people tell you that we live on this and we're doing space exploration. So with that being said, that's one of the main polarization dialectics, one of the main things. And what gets me the most is the fact that the flat earthers can be so certain. They could just be so on it. They could be so sure of themselves, as are the round earthers. So as Brother Panic would tell you, fuck if it's flat or round, you don't even know where you live. You don't know for certain where you live if you are still thinking about it, a person like me. A person that understands the law of polarity, a person that can hold one aspect. I can hold one person's truth up here. I can hold another person's truth up here and not accept either. I'm still just sitting here in the middle point listening. What's this? What's that? How's this? How could that be? How's this over here? What's going on? Why don't they do that? And then you just sit right there in the middle trying to figure out what's what. What's the truth? And the truth ultimately is right here in the Kabbalion, the fact that anything can be debated. But the fact that we really don't know, the fact that it's so much logical evidence telling you that it's flat, and the fact that so many institutions, the government, everybody just believes that it's round. Spooky, to say the least. To continue, light and darkness are poles of the same thing with many degrees between them. The musical scale is the same. Starting with C, you move upward until you reach another C, and so on. The differences between the two ends of the board being the same, with many degrees between the two extremes. The scale of color is the same. Higher and lower vibrations being the only difference between high violet and low red. We must do something extremely important. The Almighty Chakras Beyond Beginners by David Pine. I need you guys to look this book up on Amazon, screenshot this, find this book. There is no other book that I could offer you for self-improvement, self-growth, and emotional healing other than Mark Passio's channel and maybe Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Mark Passio has shouted out Dr. Joe Dispenza. This book right here, Chakras Beyond Beginners, I've never heard one single individual ever mention it. I found this book in a spiritual shop in Sacramento, California. This is the most important book, second to the Kabbalion, if you ask me. And really is 1A, 1B. Because this shit It just make you feel different. This shit will make you feel happy. This will make you feel at peace. This will benefit your life in every single way, shape, and form. So with that being said, high violet, low red, the color spectrum. Every single color that we see is right here within this 7-layer spectrum. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, violet, or indigo. Either way, it's all just one big mixture. Between these, red, orange, and yellow, you get brown. Between these, you get different shades of blue, different shades of green, right? Up here, different shades of high blue and white. They also tell you that green, or the heart chakra, another color for it is pink, because another color for the upper chakra is white. Then another color for the red. I'm a drunk man, and I'm gonna drink again. So like I was saying, you see how the chakra book match the gym. You see how it go. You see how I flow. Brother Low, kicking down your dough with knowledge that's indispensable. So we got black down here as another term for the root chakra. We got white up here as another color for the crown chakra. So white plus black, actually, I'm sorry, red down here. You can relate it to black because black is nowhere else on here, but black would just be the dense, the dark. You got light up, like I said with the yin yang, you got light up here and you got dark down here. But truly another color for the crown chakra is white. Basically just light, brightness. And you got red down here. So they'll tell you that the heart chakra, another substitute alternative color. I ain't said this in the whole video, and I ain't said it yet, but it's pink. Ain't nothing wrong with pink. But if you a straight man and you tell somebody your favorite color pink, they gonna say you gay. So yeah, ain't nothing wrong with pink, but that's just the polarization. That's just the motherfucking mind control of our culture. When pink literally means the heart chakra, pink literally means love. So, hey. But greatly get this book. I greatly advertise it. Oh my God, man. The thing about it, man, what you care about, what you choose to work on, will generate your reality. What you choose to work on, what you care about will generate your life. Like, it is so absolutely simple as that. So just as much as I care about these books, and even if I've only done it in my 20s, even if in my 30s I'm just straight focused on money and success and riches and I end up having 5 kids, I done already focused on the books. So the shit ain't going nowhere. So what you care about, what you work on, is gonna manifest and generate your reality. I can't care about your mental health, your emotional peace more than you. And oftentimes I've found myself doing that. When people just care about their ego, people just care about impressing others, people just care about looking good. It is what it is, but this the life we live in. So, we 2 pages into the law of polarity. I hope y'all fucking with me. Hope y'all here. So, hope y'all still here. Hope y'all still here. Hope y'all fucking with the kid. Hope y'all fucking with the kid, cause we about to get big, cause we about to get lit. I got a lighter in this bitch. I just spark up my lighter, then I take a little hit. I just take a little hit of the Kabalian, and I'm drunk off the gin. I don't know about him. I don't know about them. I don't know about what he's saying. I'm just going Super Saiyan, and I'm motherfucking flaming like I'm motherfucking saying like a motherfucking devil. Call me Lucifer, wearing pink fur. Feel like Killer Cam, paid in full. Give me that first. Nigga, give me that money. Nigga, give me that money. knowledge and consciousness. You niggas looking good. You niggas looking great. Oh, you thought I was about to insult my fellow human being that we on the slavery plate. No, I'm not about to insult you. I'm just about to consult you. You can consult with the kid if you want to. You can consult with the kid, get a read, and you can consult with the kid this evening. I'm off work, so nigga, I'm cheesing. Nigga, that night shift is real greasy. Nigga, that night shift, I make it look easy. Really is easy, cause I treat it like a greedy. I treat it like I'm greedy. I need money. I need it. I need cash. I need to go on and relax. I need the and I need the jigga jagga. Light and darkness are poles of the same. The scale of color is the same, higher and lower vibrations being the only difference between high violet and low red. Large and small are relative, so are noise and quiet. Hard and soft follow the rule. Likewise, sharp and dull, positive and negative are two poles of the same thing with countless degrees between them. Good and bad are not absolute. We call one end of the scale good and the other end bad, one end good and the other end evil. According to the use of the terms, a thing is less good than the thing higher in the scale, but less good than the thing more good. So, the sad thing about it, if you don't tap in and really question yourself and question your beliefs and question why you feel the way you feel about this, but you don't feel the same way about this, no one can help you and you're actually just a liability to anyone around you. The thing about it, torturing someone is quote unquote worse and higher on the scale of fucked upness than just sniping them in the head and killing them. You torturing somebody, bro, they gotta feel that shit. You could keep them alive, you could kidnap them, you could peel their fingernails back, you could motherfucking poke one eye out, you could pull every strand of it. Come on, man. And that's just one of the antinatalism arguments, telling you that, bro, like the amount of suffering and pain in this world outweighs the good. So don't have kids. That's what the antinatalists tell you. But simple as that, man. Like, that's just something showing you that, you know, less good is over here. So stealing from the store is not as bad as stealing from the bank, even as far as the punishment that you're gonna get. So the punishment of 5 years is way worse than the punishment of just paying a fine and getting some public embarrassment. But going to jail for 5 years, that's a real bad motherfucking punishment. All right, so we continue. A thing less good than the good, then below it and so on. More or less. And so it is on the mental plane. Love and hate. Love and hate are generally regarded as being things diametrically opposed to each other. Entirely different, unreconcilable. But we apply the principle of polarity. We find that there is no such thing as absolute love or absolute hate as distinguished from each other. The two are merely terms applied to the poles of the same thing. All right, Kabbalion, I see you want to issue me a slight. Oh, look at that greatness. Rest in power, Brother Panic. He signed in my book. He signed my Law of Vibration. That's Brother Panic's signature. He signed that. I wanted him to sign in the Law of Vibration because I remember him saying, if you were a person that done manifested something, if you done thought it in your head and you manifested and brought it to reality, you are pimping, won't he will. Embrace it. I was like, goddamn, thank you, Panic. So that's just the law of vibration. That's just how that go. I'm gonna have to read a little bit more of what I just read so I can make it very clear for y'all. Damn, man, I got Kabbalion pages falling out. Okay, luckily it's just right here, like that, right there. All right, y'all, here we go. generally regarded as things diametrically opposed to each other, unreconcilable. See, unreconcilable. But we just read that two polar extremes can be reconciled, but the opposites are generally, oftentimes, usually regarded as unreconcilable. But we apply the principle of polarity. We find that there is no such thing as absolute love or absolute hate. Now, ain't that beautiful? Because you can have haters, you can have people that love you, but that love can turn into hate, and that hate can turn into love. Those that hate you can one day love you. Those that love you can one day hate you. The two, love and hate, are merely terms applied to the two poles of the same thing. To the two poles of the same thing. We must refer to the chin up art. I got a sneeze coming. Woo. All right, y'all. So, in the middle, we have indifference. On the left side, we'll use this as hate. And on the right side, I'm definitely covering my mouth intentionally. We'll use this as love, right? So you got indifference right here in the middle. Don't give a fuck. You got hate on this side, so you may hate something. These are just two things on the exact same pole, one perspective. So like, what do you hate, y'all? What do you hate? What do you hate? What do you hate? You may hate nasty food. You may hate somebody that's mean to you. You may hate this idea that you have to work in America, but you really don't have to. But in the same time, see, this just gets us to the law of projection, because the book No Boundary by Ken Wilber essentially says that we're always projecting, negative or positive, shadow projection, unconscious things that we just don't own. I get it. You get it. Like, that's one aspect of this game of life. But it's basically in a way saying, and I can see how this applies to it, like, that what you say you hate, I ain't gonna say you love it. I ain't gonna simply just sit here and say that you love it. But there's a reason that you're even commenting on it. You have some feeling toward it. Because you ain't talking about Russia. You ain't talking about Tanzania. You ain't talking about some random place and thing going on in this world. There's a lot of things to talk about. But you choose to talk about something, and you may say you hate it, but there's something a little bit deeper going on. Okay, y'all. Let's continue. Page is falling out, but that's all good. Let's hate, the two, let's hate, as we're saying the scale, let's love. The two are merely terms applied to the two poles of the same thing. Love and hate, right? So you say you love something, you say you hate something. Merely two poles that are applied to the same thing. Beginning at any point of the scale, we will find more love or less hate. As we ascend the scale, more hate or less love. Amen. Oh, this is comfortable. Oh, this is comfortable. Oh. This being true, no matter from what point, high or low, we may start. There are degrees of love and hate, and there is a middle point where like and dislike become so faint that it is difficult to distinguish between them. Courage and fear come under the same rule. Now, the thing is, man, when you a nigga like me, I'm the king of distinction. So I'm oftentimes always trying to distinguish what's what between what's not what. And I see, actually, just like the Kabbalion states, I am in agreement with the Kabbalion in this aspect. Not when it comes to the globe Earth necessarily, but from this aspect of love and hate being diametrically opposed, these are the two polar opposites. You love something or you hate it. All right. Then courage versus fear. You fear something or you are courageous toward that something. Yeah. Or you're courageous toward that something. You're either fearful or you're courageous. Rather it's the thoughts, rather it's the obstacle in your place, rather it's the whatever. You're either going to be fearful, and then fear is also polarized on the scale with love. So you still got neutrality. You still got neutrality and peace and indifference right there in the middle point. You're neutral. You don't give a fuck. It could go either way. You could live or you could die. They could leave you or they could stay with you. No. Either way it goes. Then you got indifference. You don't give a fuck. It could play out this way. It could be a success. It could be a failure. And you got peace. You're not necessarily happy or you're not necessarily unhappy, but you're at peace. Right there in the middle. So, man, oh man, y'all, it really is this simple. And all we talking about truly is controlling your emotions and understanding how this mental game of life works. I'm sorry that culture is this hypnotizing. I'm sorry that the cell phone is this powerful. But that's what it is, y'all. The cell phone, culture, your family done hypnotize you to think and believe in certain ways. We got a few more pages to go in the Kabbalion, but we here with it. Courage and fear come under the same rule. The pair of opposites exist everywhere. Where you find one thing, you find its opposite, the two poles. And it is this fact that enables the Hermeticists to transmute one mental state into another along the lines of polarization. Things belonging to different classes cannot be transmuted into each other, but things of the same class may be changed. Now this is, I'm a flash, I don't know if it's in this chapter, it could very well be the next page. Oh, it's actually in the As Above, So Below, the chapter of correspondence that I done tatted this book up so much, but genuinely, this is where the distinction really starts to take place. And the thing is, once you do the work mentally and spiritually, then you can kind of rest. You can kind of sit back, live life with a bit of ease. You sit back, you live life with a bit of ease. You don't care as much because you done the spiritual work. Or at least you know you done more than motherfucking 85% of the masses. It may be a little bit more spiritual work for you to do. A little bit more mental work on your equation for you to do. But at the very least, you done the work. So at this point in the book, I had done the work. 2022, 2023, ever since then, I've been chilling, figuring out other aspects and things of life. But really just, regarding this book, regarding the spiritual work, and then training for my business and my purpose, hey man, what I want to be an example of is ultimately patience and mastering and maintaining and being in control of your emotions, knowing that you can go from a nerd to a cool kid, a weakling to a strong man. You can go from a depressed, unhappy person to a positive person that feels good. Because fuck expressing and sharing and being happy and whatever for everybody else. Be that for yourself. And that's ultimately what I want to represent in some way, shape, or form, to just let y'all know that it's possible. Also being a smart man while you young, because, you know what I'm saying, you don't got to just because your dad or your grandpa told you something about life, oh, it's fact, oh, it's true. No, bro, they didn't read the Kabbalion. You need to read the Kabbalion. And it's fucking audio books online. I advise you to invest in YouTube Premium so you can listen without disruption from advertisement, taking your mind away from the high-level vibratory realm of spirituality, fucking rooting you down into the realm of physicality in this matrix. That's what the advertisements is here to do. So, with that being said, y'all, and it is the fact that enables the hermeticist to transmute one mental state along the lines of polarization. You transmute, alchemy, to transmute from one state to another. Things belonging to different classes being transmuted into each other. Things belonging to different classes cannot. I'm gonna have to get this motherfucking thing up off of me. Because things belonging to different classes cannot be transmuted into each other. I can't transmute into the expressive person that I need to be if that thing was just clamping down on me. So, because it's a different class. How can you, I could have broke out of that chin-up bar. I genuinely think I could have. With the drunk gin power, I think I could have. But I didn't want to do that. So I was in a different class. I was caged in as opposed to now. Free, like a bird. All right, so one last time. This distinction gets real. Things belonging to different classes cannot be transmuted into each other, but things of the same class may be changed. That is, may have their polarity changed. Thus, love never becomes east or west, or red or violet, but it may often turn into hate. And likewise, hate may be transformed into love by changing its polarity. Courage may be transmuted into fear, and then fear may then be transformed into courage. Hard things may be rendered soft, but something hard will never be rendered east or west. Different classes. I think I'm good. I was gonna say I gotta take a piss break, but I think I'm good in this moment because now oh wow. Thankfully, the book No Boundary is right here. And in this book, I went deep into the distinction when it comes to this whole class aspect. Like I said, it's a full polarity lecture. My phone did just ding and say 20%, so hopefully we at least 14%. Courage may be transmuted into fear and the reverse. Hard things may be rendered soft, but soft may never become west. And that's what we're going to get into when I open up the book No Boundary. Hard things, dull things can become sharp. Hot things can become cold, and so on. The transmutation always between things of the same kind of degrees. The transmutation always being between things of the same kind of different degrees. All right? You're all with me. Y'all following. So, in a sense, plastic can become liquid. This is true. Plastic can simply just be melted into liquid because it's just a form of matter, right? Matter can become liquid. East can then become west. Oh my God, but then it's actually, piss break. I'm gonna take a break, y'all. Really, 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 really quick. All right, my good people, we back with it. Had to take a quick piss break and damn near want to take a smoke break. So y'all still sticking with me. Goddamn. Shout out to my motherfucking loyal CTRL supporters. We in this bitch, and I feel like Michael Porter on the Denver Nuggets 2023 shooting threes. Catch me in the back, getting the pass from Jokic. I am just going to find my place, but I'm going to talk to y'all as I roll up. And it is this fact that enables the hermetist. So, let's start right there, y'all. You are the hermetist. You are the hermetist. You are the Gnostic. You are the occultist. You are the alchemist. You are the person that has chosen to, at the very least, see and understand. And if you stay to this point, man, oh man, give yourself a pat on the back. Give props to yourself. Give props to you as a soul having a human experience to seek the information, right? To seek the information, and at the same time from a person with simply 3K followers. But I know something inside of you. I know you simply feel and see and understand that I take this shit deeply serious. That I'm giving you my all when it comes to breaking down and understanding this law of polarity. And essentially, these are the principles of this reality. So with that being the case, you know what I'm saying? I drink, I smoke, do shrooms. Like I said, I want all the same dumb shit as the next nigga do. But this is the most important thing. The very most important. Ultimately, to free your mind, to help you evolve, to share the information and to share my unique breakdown and interpretation of the information, and then how I can look at each side of the polarity of certain information and perspectives, and then give you a synthesis between why this is this and that is this, and why you may want to do this if you want this, and why you may want to do this if you want this. Like I said, it's them levels of thinking. Trust me, I'm at level 9, and a lot of people, but you, I want you to get up there. At the very least, you at level 6, 7, 8. And hey, I'm not here to say that I'm so much. I guarantee a lot of y'all is more intellectual than me. And I guarantee a lot of y'all got more money than me. But that means nothing in this reality when it comes to you and how you feel when you sleep at night. When it comes to you and how your thoughts go. When it comes to your emotions. So with that being said, let me again find my place one time. Then we're going to roll up. Then we're going to get right back to it. Thus, love never becomes east or west. Okay. So, courage may never be transmuted to fear, and the reverse hard things. So, like the case of the fear. All right, very last thing. Hot things. Hot things become cold, and so on. The transmutation always being between things of the same kind. They're the same kind, but different degree. So east is not the same kind as love. Love is not the same kind as sharp. Sharp is not the same kind as liver. Liver is not the same kind as Indonesia. Indonesia is not the same kind as PlayStation 5. These are different things of a different kind, but PlayStation 5 is the same kind as Xbox, different degree. Indonesia is the same kind as Mexico, different degree. Sharp is the same kind as plump, different degree. With that being said, I know exactly where I'm gonna pick up on, and we gonna smoke some weed, we gonna smoke some fucking kush, we gonna smoke some fucking, we gonna smoke some fucking, we gonna smoke some fucking. All right, I'm gonna pick up actually on this book. I'm gonna find exactly where I know for a fact that I went deep into the distinction, crown the distinct king of distinction here. I went deep in distinction in this book, No Boundary, when it came to that idea of classes and kind. But even in that moment, I simply just advanced because I can see that PlayStation 5 is not the same kind as gin. It's not the same kind. They're different things of different kinds. Gin and Hennessy is the same kind, different degree. All right, y'all. So, with that being said, let's talk about some real life shit. Let's talk about some real life shit. Goodbye, debt. Goodbye, letter, dear life shit. Sometimes I feel like I ain't shit. Sometimes a nigga feel like shit. That's not my lyrics. That's Lil Wayne. I couldn't think of the full song, but I damn near want to play it. But we ain't gonna get no copyright strike right now. We ain't gonna get no copyright strike right now. What's some shit that been going on in the news, y'all? I've been detaching from the news. One thing that I can say is history and mankind's greatest falsehood, mankind's greatest mistake will be taking whatever the news says on face value. I know that to be the case. I know that to be 100% true. The news tells us a bunch of different things, but essentially, none of that shit is absolute fact. It may be relative fact, it may be relative truth, but it's not absolute. It's not the absolute knowing. It's not the thing that you must know. All right. That being said, I'll be right back. Stay focused. Stay tapped in. We here with it. Promise that. All right. So, yeah, that's one of my a CTRL original. Humanity's greatest mistake is taking what the news says on face value. So, primarily, the stock market. The stock market, the financial industry, the whole realm of finances, it runs off fiat currency ever since 1970. Ever since 1970, when Richard Nixon took us off of the gold standard, took the US dollar off of the gold standard, basically means that they can now create money. Money was derived from and backed by gold, meaning the dollars that we use, it was representative of gold. It was a note. They call it a note, a C note, a dollar note, whatever note comes with it. It was a note that represented the amount of gold that you had in the bank. So if you didn't have a certain amount of gold, then you couldn't have a certain amount of dollars. Modern day, in the 1970s, Richard Nixon signed some shit that took the dollar off of the gold standard. So gold just became, boom, gold is over here, gold is this, gold still holds its value. But we'll now, for some reason, print dollars. We'll print paper dollars, cash, and we can print it infinitely without it being backed by gold. So essentially that creates fiat currency. Fiat is derived from the Latin term so be it. So this is fiat. It is so be it money. They create what it is, they create what it be, and then it is simply that. So we live in this society. We all just living and going off of paper dollars. We monopoly bucks, matrix bucks, plantation bucks. I said in my song, God Bless America, go get your plantation bucks, nigga, no problem. I be on clandestine stuff, nigga, Bin Laden. Catch me in the Caucasus Mountains, nigga, still plotting. And tell the CIA CTRL don't give a fuck. I done convinced myself it's destiny with a bit of luck. I hate a bitter fuck, mad at this and that. Sometimes I wish I had a Kabbalion concentration camp, And where the fuck I be right now if I ain't find a map? Knowing if I keep showing the world this map, it'd be civil unrest. Cross my legs, take a breath, my temple decompress. Keep your shrooms in a box, it'll keep them fresh. Angelo Durant, why consider to contest? Been a sitter to some deaths, them ego deaths will leave you stress. He crawling out his skin again like, damn, I need some rest. Her mama gave the girl a beans as a nepotest. Upper middle class success. Wage slave, higher debt. Eating good, the finest chefs. Lead a hood to find yourself. Lead a hood to find yourself. They say the hood never really lead a person. It's hoodie weather, hoodie season. It's hoodie weather, hoodie season, feeling like a culprit. In the eyes of America, this culture. Kanye West for president was listening to vultures. 100 years, I hope they build yay sculptures. Shout out to America, the devil's favorite altar. So, with that being said, like, America is literally, like, what is the devil? What would you depict the devil as? Evil, chaos, fucked up, pain, suffering, screaming, souls, torment. America is literally the devil's favorite altar. Like, literally, that is what America is. That is what America comes down to. It is the devil's favorite altar. The devil's work is done right here in America. So, with that being said, my phone just rang on 10%, and we ain't gonna hesitate too much longer. And we will not finish this chapter of polarity. We absolutely will not. But what we will do is tap into this motherfucker. This book right here, y'all, I've essentially just given y'all my top 3 books that I would recommend you order and tap into. Now, why? What's the point of tapping into them? For one, the Kabbalion will give you all of the laws, the principles of this reality with a very absolute, a very certain, a very deep perspective on what is what, why this happens, and ultimately a key and guide to how to manifest your reality, because everything stems from principles. So this slavery system of economy and government matrix that we live in stems from those 7 Hermetic Kabbalion principles. How you can change your life through your mindset, mentalism, stems from those Kabbalions and principles. I had this thought somewhere latent in my subconscious when I was bringing up Bob Proctor. But essentially, if you essentially have to think about how you can rather than how you cannot. You may be thinking about all the reasons why it won't work. You may be thinking about all the reasons why it can't happen the way you want it to, the way you think it might go. You may be thinking about all the negatives, but you essentially just need to think about all of the ways that it can work. Decision and desire. Bob Proctor, like I mentioned, find your manifestation guru and stick with him/her. Bob Proctor works for me. So Bob Proctor, he's been reading Think and Grow Rich for the past 1,000 years. Rest in paradise, Bob Proctor. But he'll tell you that he picked up the book when he was a young kid, and then he's been reading it that long. I ain't gonna say that I sit here and read the Kabbalion all day, every day, but I do study derivatives and basically laws from these 7 principles. So the more that I tap in with the 7 principles, the more that reintegrates into my mind, and then the 7, and then all of the laws and facts of this whole world just become more apparent and certain. So the Kabbalion is, in a way, my Think and Grow Rich. But Think and Grow Rich, the first principle in that book, remember, principles comes first. 13 principles in Think and Grow Rich. And the first one is desire. Along with that is decision and just knowing what you want. So as I was listening to Bob Proctor yesterday, you essentially have to figure out what you want and then figure out how you can get it. Think about the ways that it can work. All the times that your mind may start to conjure up the reasons why something won't work, why society told you it won't work, why they say, oh no, you can't do this because of this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Nah, man. You must let that go. You must let it go. Because, bro, it all works off of your mind. Even the laws of this world, the man-made laws of America just works off jurisdiction and another man saying you can, they just trying to control your reality. So they made it work. It works for them and their benefit. When people dying, when your family crying, when all type of bad shit, financial fucked up shit is happening, it's working for them. It's in their favor. It's in their interest. It's in their benefit, but it may not be in your benefit. So with that being said, think about how can whatever your thing is, whatever you're trying to do, work. Ultimately, just start with your desire. What do you want? Be real with yourself. Be honest. What do you want and how you want to get it? Now start thinking about how that can work. Because, you know, I know my phone just flashed on 10%, but we're going to stay on it. So there's a difference between a want and a desire. A desire is a subconscious, latent thing inside of you. Latent meaning like it's just there. It's in the back. It's just waged. It's just been there, right? It's latent. It's a latent desire. And a want is something that you consciously choose. So even when I was breaking down the difference between masculine and feminine gender, I was leaving out the neocortex, your conscious mind, your conscious thinking. And this is how you're constantly going back and forth between the bipolar states of your mental gender. Masculine, logical, database, feminine, creative, holistic. You're constantly going back and forth between these two with your neocortex thinking brain that other animals and beings on this planet don't have. So with that being said, those are the wants, but the desires is subconscious. So you may want to be rich. You may want to have money. You may want to have a loving family. You may want to have a better relationship. But the subconscious desire that you have is to keep your life the same. It's to stay protected. It's to stay safe. So therefore, you may not branch out and be new and do different things to get the thing that you desire, that you want, because your subconscious desires is programming you to keep things the exact same. That's why you got to do the shadow work. That's why you must know thyself. With that being said, y'all, just remember, we will be picking up right here. See where it says, take the case? Take the case of a fearful man, and I'm reading backwards, by raising his mental vibration along the line. So you take the fearful man and you raise his vibration along the line of courage. And that's ultimately what we going for, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't programmed and born to be athletes. We wasn't born into a college that a family that may have had the money to get us into a great college and a great fraternity. Or we didn't have parents and dads that was in our life making us 5-star athletes, feeding us the best foods and giving us the time and waking us up out of bed to go and run and practice and train. Therefore, we may not be professional athletes. We may not have went and got some college degree and now we got some super highfalutin position in society. We might be content creators. We might just be working our 9-to-5 job. But the more that we raise, because our parents were just living in fear in one way, shape, or form. Our parents had fear and hate and negative energy, negative perspective on what even we could become. So they programmed us with the best that they could. And with that being said, we must continuously raise our fear along the lines of courage and then become courageous. Be brave. Like I said before, bravery is the key. With that being said, I'm going to end this video. Stay godlike, my good people.